Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. The Houston Rockets losing a tough one tonight, but a very fun game with the Los Angeles Clippers. The final score 109 to 104. Some key statistics from this game. John Wall having himself a very nice game tonight. 27 points, 13 assists, 3 rebounds, along with a steal and 2 blocks. 9 for 22 from the field. Not a great night from beyond the arc. 1 for 7 and 8 for 9 from the free throw line. Christian Wood also having himself another good game as he continues to work his way back from injury. 24 points, 19 rebounds, 2 assists, 8 for 22 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and 6 for 8 from the stripe. Kelly Olynyk continuing his run of good form for the Houston Rockets with 23 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, 8 for 13 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and 5 for 5 from the free throw. Now, Christian Wood, and this is a pretty overarching subject for the entire game. It seems like he has kind of tweaked his ankle again. Not that he's injured it again, but it seems like it's bothering him a little bit more than it has been over the past few days. And I think it's definitely hampered his play today. I think he already had a pretty good game, but I think he could have had a lot better game if it wasn't for that ankle, which it seems to be bothering him a little bit more now than it was a few days prior.
Very, very sad to say this again as a Rockets fan, but the injury bug is back. Christian Wood, after a very nice defensive play by Kelly Olynyk, who passed the ball to him, had that dunk. He landed, I don't think he landed awkwardly, but it just didn't seem right. Like he was holding his leg. And also another injury news, Jae'Sean Tate seemed to have tweaked something, or like maybe his ankle or like thigh. He was also holding it when he had, I think he had a bone to his thigh contact. So that's kind of hurting him too. And it's just really, it's not good. Tomorrow, the Rockets do play against the Denver Nuggets, and it's going to be surprising, to say the least, if we do have enough players to play in that game. We will also not have a point guard for tomorrow. John Wall is not allowed to play back-to-back, so he will not be able to play. Kevin Porter Jr. still out because of, his altercation that he had and how he came in contact with those people that were assaulting Sterling Brown. So he's not coming back until at least Sunday. And then no DJ Augustine, he's still injured. So I believe it'll be Armani Brooks will have to play point guard, and we're probably going to see hopefully a lot of point forward from Jae'Sean Tate. But if he is unable to play, then the Rockets might actually have to take one of our injured players and list him as available to play just to meet the 8-man lineup rotation.
And it's a very interesting aspect in that the Rockets, if everyone that is injured is listed as out, they're not going to have the amount of necessary players to play with all the players that are out with injury, health and safety protocols, and now some extra injuries from tonight's game. They will fall short of the 8-player threshold that is the minimum to play in a game this season. And so it'll be interesting to see what type of move the Rockets take here. Do they list one of these players with more minor injuries as available? It'll be interesting to see what they do, and also which players they decide to make available, because there's almost no way the Rockets don't list someone as available to meet the threshold and just forfeit. There is obviously probably going to be someone that is going to be listed as available who might be just a little bit injured, but it'll be interesting to see who that is and who they decide to sit and who they decide to play. And that will be very interesting to see. Again, that game is against the Denver Nuggets, and the Rockets, like you said, will not play with a point guard. They will not have a true point guard to lead the way for them. So it will probably have to be maybe Armani Brooks running the point guard, maybe Jae'Sean Tate, like you said, a little bit of point forward. Any of the other players that are available will probably have to do a little bit of point guard, which is not something that they're very used to. Now, what I do want to talk about is the final sequence of today's game, or at least the final crucial possession for the game, which was basically John Wall bringing the ball up the floor, giving the ball to Kelly Olynyk, pump fake, shoots a pretty deep contested 3 and misses. What I wanted to talk about is, could the Rockets handle that possession in a better way? And if so, what was it?
Definitely. Okay, I was watching the last play on the sequence over and over again, trying to see exactly what the Rockets could have done better. So first of all, the play started off with John Wall, and Christian Wood having a pick and roll. So Christian Wood comes and sets the pick to John Wall's left. So John Wall ends up going left, and he brings Christian Wood's defender towards him. However, John Wall was kind of facing right, so we did not see Christian Wood wide open at the left wing. So that was 1-3 that was automatically missed up. He ended up passing the ball to Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk, he caught the ball, did a pump fake to get the defender flying past him, and that caused Jayshawn Tate's defender, who was right next to him, to come towards him. And because of that, I feel like Kelly Olynyk could have passed the ball to Jayshawn Tate, and Tate would have had to, just throw up a shot, maybe a little faster than his normal rhythm. But I think that might have been a better shot than Kelly Olynyk's contest that the shot that Kelly Olynyk took, which was contested by Jayshawn Tate's defender. However, I do still think that the left wing shot by Christian Wood would have been the best choice. And had John Wall, been facing more like middle towards the basket, he would have been able to catch him on his right eye. But he wasn't able to, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and it is a sequence that I think if you had given the ball to Christian Wood for three, I think it would have been much better, especially when you look back on the shot that Kelly Olynyk took. It was very heavily contested, and they never really had a good chance of making it. It was always going to be a little bit of a prayer, and it wasn't answered this time. But some positive takeaways from this game is that this game was very, very good on the defensive side of the ball. The Rockets holding the Clippers to 108 points, it's 109 points, which doesn't seem too impressive in any way, but what does stand out is that the Rockets held the Los Angeles Clippers to just 11 points in the third quarter. And so a very, very impressive defensive game from the Rockets, especially from our key players.
Right. The defensive standpoint is definitely the one thing that I was really shocked to see. The Los Angeles Clippers are the best three-point shooting team by far in the entire league. Coming into this game, they were shooting 42% as a team, all right? Let me say that again, as 42% as a team. Now, 42% is amazing as it is for a player, but they shoot that as a team, which is just something that's just crazy. But in today's game, the Rockets ending up holding them to just 12 for 34 and making them shoot only 35%, which is very good compared to what they usually average. The whole game, as a result of their threes not falling, was that the Rockets were there in the first quarter, only down by 4, in the second by halftime, also only down by 4, and they even took, I believe, a 6-point lead entering the fourth quarter. So it really shows, like, if the Rockets do play very good defense, and if they have like more offensive consistency within like their team, like when Kevin Porter Jr. comes back, if Eric Gordon comes back, David Nwaba, DJ Augustine on the point guard, all these players, once they come back and the Rockets can still play with this same intensity on the defensive side of the ball, this team is definitely playoff bound. And you can tell because before the whole Christian Wood injury and all of our, injuries that had happened, we were 11-10. We were, I believe, the 4 seed at one point. So it's really just, if we stayed healthy, this whole, injury bug didn't really affect us that much, as well as like, the locker room issues and all that, this Rockets team would have definitely made at least the play-in tournament. They would have definitely been in there for the play-in tournament. And, no one wants to face a team like the Rockets who, rely on their defense, are very intense. You can think of the Rockets as, like the Clippers were playing against the Warriors a couple years ago, the 8th seed. They still ended up winning 2 games out of the 6, and Golden State ended up winning. So, we're just a bunch of like, defensive like dogs out there. And if we did have a bit more of like offensive consistency with our injured players in our lineup, this team would have gone far.
Yeah, and without a doubt, I mean, you have all of these defensive playmakers that weren't playing. Like you said, Eric Gordon, David Nwaba, all of these guys who were reputed for their defensive performance, and they weren't there. And we were still able to hold the Clippers with 35%, which is like 7% less than what they usually shoot as a team. And I think this team is really starting to build an identity for defensive capability. This wasn't something that we saw in previous eras of like the D'Antoni Houston Rockets. They weren't known for their defense, but this is a team that, using its defensive playmakers, guys like John Wall, guys like Eric Gordon, David Nwaba, once all those guys come back healthy, I think this can be a really stout defense on the perimeter at least. I mean, interior wise, we don't have the best defense with Christian Wood being one of our key bigs, but even there, you have Kenny Martin Jr. inside, who he has. It seems like every game he blocks a 7-footer, and this game no different, as he got a block on Zubac of the Los Angeles Clippers. And so this team has the potential to be a very, very stout defensive team in the future. And I have no doubt, like what you said, that if we did have everyone healthy, we would at least be a play-in team with our talent. And if we actually had time to mesh and get some consistency in the lineup, I think this could have been like a 10 seed or 9 seed team going into the play-in. And that's not a team that you want to play. You don't want to play a team that's going to play hard. You don't want to play a team that is going to, give you 100% on both sides of the floor, and they're going to wear you out and they're going to make you earn your playoff spot. And that's something that it's good to see the culture building already in this very first year of the Houston Rockets rebuild. And just to wrap things up real quick, Armani Brooks continuing to impress in his time for the Rockets. 3 for 8 from the field, 9 points, 3 for 8 from 3, 9 points tonight, along with 4 rebounds. Kenny Martin Jr., like we said, getting a block on another 7-footer, Vika Zubac, and also another block as well. Also had 3 rebounds to boot, along with his 5 points, 2 for 6 from the field and 1 for 2 from beyond the arc. And Daniel House making his return tonight from injury with 5 points, 2 for 4 from the field and 1 for 3 from beyond the arc. And the last little remark that I want to make is the next game against the Denver Nuggets. And like we said, that's going to be a game when we're not going to be playing with a point guard, and it will be interesting to see what type of lineup the Rockets play, and it'll also be interesting to see how the Rockets decide to manage that point guard position. And that's just about it. Again, we appreciate you for watching this video, and make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.